There's hard power, soft power and cuddly power. Panda power, in other words. Now, before we get woolly-headed about pandas, their part in Chinese diplomacy has always had a hard edge. And animals in diplomacy have always had a long history to play in. Join me, Jan Darash, for how we got here.
While pandas are widely considered cuddly, cute, and often goofy, their job is much more important than their laid-back image would suggest. Chomping on bamboo and lounging in their enclosures is just a facade for the real mission, being fuzzy ambassadors of the People's Republic of China. Beijing has been engaging in the so-called Panda Diplomacy for decades, with its popularity skyrocketing in the 1950s and forward. China's gift of one of these cute bears is a symbol of goodwill, as pandas, an endangered species, symbolize conservation efforts. The gesture is meant to be a conduit for diplomatic dialogue and show Beijing's willingness to foster friendly relations. Just recently, a pair of pandas named Bao Li and Qing Bao were sent from Chengdu to the Smithsonian National Zoo in Washington, D.C., just months after another panda arrived in San Diego, highlighting China's efforts to better its strained relationship with the U.S. But some people don't let the bears' unbearable cuteness overwhelm them. Many activists and critics of Beijing argue that China's tendency to send the friendliest and cutest animals on the planet to other countries is a way of diverting attention from matters the CCP deems problematic. This includes, but is not limited to, the persecution of China's Uyghur population, the CCP's widely criticized and long-running disregard for human rights, Beijing's increased presence and more frequent drills in the Taiwan Strait, and even trade disputes with Beijing's partners, for example the US's and EU's most recent tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. While panda diplomacy may seem whimsical on the surface, it shows just how strong Beijing's soft power really is. From enhancing cultural ties and building strong relationships with other countries to reshaping the global perception of an entire country, it's safe to say that China will keep employing the services of these cuddly creatures for decades to come.
Our guest today is Bruno Surdel. He is a security analyst at the Centre for International Relations here in Warsaw. Welcome to the programme.
Hello again.
We're going to be talking about pandas today, big cuddly Chinese animals, and the panda diplomacy that's we tend to accompany these offers of these animals. Not just to the United States, but to the Western zoos and all that stuff. What's the point behind that? Do people really go soft-headed when they see a panda and go, oh, China can't be so bad?
I think, yes. You know, when pandas are presented to any given zoo in United States or in Europe, definitely so many people will watch. It attracts attention, you know, at TV stations and also on internet or, you know, social media. It attracts attention for millions of people. I think this is why they are doing this. Yes, it's soft power. Yes, it's kind of a panda diplomacy. But what's behind this? You may ask me, definitely. So I think it's, you know, not just to reward Zambia or any given country, but to trigger, to start or continue negotiations, because actually, you know, it's not really about pandas, about sometimes hard choices, hard decisions to take, to make rapprochement or restoring relations between nations, yes? Or confirming very good relations like with Soviet Union before the break, yes, in 1950s.
You mentioned before we came on air about this tradition, the Chinese tradition of giving a gift. It's not just a Chinese tradition, but a general diplomatic gift of giving a valuable animal or a valuable piece of jewellery or something like that. What about the Chinese? When did the Chinese start this panda diplomacy?
The tradition of exchange of gifts is as old as China. Yes, probably thousands of years. It's not just about diplomacy. You know, it's impossible to make any deal, any business deal in China without exchange of gifts. This is why also, it's very difficult to fight corruption. But of course, Chairman Xi Jinping fought corruption. But on the other hand, it's difficult to do anything without this. And Panda diplomacy, it is still, exchange of gifts, because we are giving you, we as Chinese pandas, if you present something to us, if you give something to us, something really valuable, yes? It's just, last step or the first step. We have problem, with debating something together or negotiating. We'll give you this carrot, yes? And we publicize to the whole of the world that we can see these cute animals and our emotions also. It touches upon heart.
So the West may see this exchange of gifts as an attempted bribe or attempted means of coercion or convincing you to do one course of action. But in the Chinese culture, it's a lubricant. It just oils the diplomatic process.
Exactly. It's no bribe as such. It's Chinese culture, thousands of years old, and they do the business in this way. I mean, both diplomacy for hundreds of years or thousands or anything else. Within families too, there is exchange of gifts. Yes, exchange of, red envelopes. Yes, red as a symbol of happiness, and yellow symbol of empire. Yes, red and yellow. So here, pandas are not red, are not yellow, white and black, but are so cute that even there are co-productions of cartoons between Czech Republic, for example, and China when the relations were better, closer several years ago. So China in this way tries to do two things. First one, to spread its culture, its tradition around the world, to teach us its culture, yes, and its biodiversity, and showing us what is best as regards its fauna, yes, its animals. On the other,
taking care of its environment, I suppose. You've got the
because
line.
In the past it was different. Now, if we get a panda from China, we have to pay for its maintenance, but also millions of dollars for this gift, this loan and a gift. But what we are paying for? We are paying for conservations, Yes, so special areas in China, yes, and these pandas, other animals can benefit from this.
What kind of money, what's the level of money, the amount of money that we have to fork out to get these animals?
I think $1 million, $1 million, also probably millions of dollars, for maintenance of fresh bamboos, yes, many things actually, healthcare, yes, for pandas, yes. But not just that, we have mentioned diplomacy, it's scientific diplomacy. We should tell this. It's not just, these cute pandas we are watching, on TV screens, on social
eating
media.
their bamboo shoots.
It's not just hard diplomacy. It's exchange of scientific knowledge. So you could say it's also scientific diplomacy of science, or science diplomacy. Yes, it's working really good. There are hundreds or thousands of scientific papers produced both by Chinese, by American, by European scientists. So, as you see, it's multidimensional. Not just, gift, not just politics, not just diplomacy, science, soft power, Chinese soft power coming, deep from the past of Chinese tradition history.
Well, if we're talking about the the significance of the animal in Chinese culture. There's also the wolf warrior, isn't there? The wolf warrior diplomacy that's currently being touted by China. We've got a very aggressive kind of approach to diplomatic affairs. Almost very high tensions in the South China Seas, over Taiwan, over the various trade conflicts. Are pandas really going to
soften China's
smooth
image,
the
yes?
waters? Yeah.
Because if you
Human rights abuses.
maybe not me, maybe not you, but who knows? If we see these pandas, we definitely will say, "Oh, look, China is so cute." Because panda is China, China is panda, yes. So it's like this. But you said, so let me tell you something. The South China Sea issue, Taiwan issue. Let me to be very provocative. Yeah. Look, how many wars were initiated by China in last 100 years? How many? Yeah. So if you count, if you calculate how many, you see that we not necessarily need to be that, scared by the Chinese. Actually, what the European Union did several years ago, with its first China strategy, first real China strategy, what they thought, and I like it. We should cooperate where possible, and we need to compete where necessary. Yes, we are competitors, but we also cooperate. The German industry is suffering much now. I mean, Volkswagen, for example. You know why? Because they invested much in China, and they have been selling much more cars in China than in Germany. They got the problem. What kind of problem?
Yes.
The problem is the Chinese invested massively in early 2000s already in critical minerals. They dominated, lithium 60%, global production, extraction, cobalt 70%, rare earth sometimes 100%. What I mean, you cannot produce wind turbines without Chinese components. You cannot produce solar panels without Chinese components. You cannot produce batteries without Chinese components. So somebody can say, and people are saying, look, we just, we're trying to get away from dependency, from Russian fossil fuels. What we got, we are getting instead this dependency on Chinese critical materials, Chinese technology. This is why the whole idea of decoupling now is de-risking. People realize that decoupling is not possible. Let's try de-risking. But now see, de-risking is also not possible because when we want transformation in Europe, yes, energy transformation, first we need to have these critical minerals, yes. But how to get this? Congo, monopolized, dominated by Chinese, and so on and so on. Yeah, this is the problem.
What's the? I understand the point you're trying to make there. What's the point? What's the equivalent of the panda that the West can give? The soft power that the West has. It used to be the blue jeans, for example, or like you mentioned earlier on, the James Bond films. Is that now still as strong, or is it just is that history?
I think still is strong. Still is strong. Let me tell here on air what I told you before. When I asked somebody from China, really high official, about the Chinese movies he really likes, he told me James Bond. It's not a Chinese film, but he was thinking about movies. He told me James Bond. It was 2 years ago. So this feeling is still alive. Yes, it's America. We are trying to compete. We are competing sometimes, successfully with the United States, but at the same time, still in some areas we are far away. We are trying to do something. Yes, and something we have not mentioned. And something which is much more controversial than pandas is Confucius institutes. They were flourishing for many years. But you know, Chinese culture, Chinese language, but you know, especially American universities and American government try to persuade universities and other institutions to get away with them because like spying on spreading Chinese propaganda, Communist Party propaganda. So it's not just Panda, it's also Confucius institutes around the world.
There's a multifaceted diplomatic policy that China's waging. Does it really? You say. I think what you're trying to do is trying to convince me that the pandas are cute, and that they have some sort of practical consequences. I must admit I failed to see that because I'm a bit of a skeptic really about all this. But so my point being that China really, soft power, hard power, it really only needs the hard power. It needs the navy, the aircraft carriers, the missiles, the People's Liberation Army. Doesn't need pandas.
You know, I need to comment what you have said. You know, actually, what country gives such sweet gifts? A powerful country. A powerful country, yes, is showing, oh, we are giving you these pandas, yes. But
we can.
We can, but everybody knows we are powerful.
Yes.
Yes. And panda is a very majestic animal. Yes, you ask me if whether or not, you know, People's Liberation Army needs pandas for their image, soften their image. Yes, because, but look, okay, South China Sea is old, you know, traditional Chinese strategy, way, you know, getting something without fighting, you know, no war, no war.
Sun Tzu thing, yes.
You know, slowly but surely doing our job, slowly but surely. In the same time, we are sending Confucius institutes, their pandas, their economic, you know, gains. I mean, loans. And we are sending officials. We are talking. Sometimes very, very soft. Sometimes much more harder. And at the same time, we are building our strength slowly but surely. Not like Russia, you know, I would say very vulgar. You know, it's a tradition of doing everything.
Very subtle.
We have time. Yeah. As during, you know, Deng Xiaoping era. So Deng Xiaoping said we need to buy time and build our strength. We don't need to engage much in external affairs. President Xi Jinping realized China is enough strong now, it was 2012, 2013, to go outside more, to be more assertive, yes? Because they realized during, you know, 2008 and 2009 economic crisis, when at the same time, you know, we forgot to tell about, you know, sport, Olympic diplomacy, yes? 2008, height of crisis in China, Olympic Games. United States, in their view, in Chinese view, slowly declining, China rising. But not everything is that rosy. I asked, I know, a scholar from Hong Kong exactly about this. He told me, look, the problem we have, we Chinese, is our history, you know, is cyclical. Our history, you know, China is very old ancient nation, but history is cyclical, and maybe now we are at the top.
Back on the top
later
again.
We'll go down.
Yeah. Yes, the Chinese measure things in centuries, don't they? Bruno Surdal, thank you very much for coming into the programme.
Thank you so much.
So that's all we have time for today. Stay with us at TVP World and join us next time for How We Got Here.